Well, hi everyone. Welcome to Your Community Cares in your town with Sage Solutions. My name is Paul Vane and I'm a volunteer with Your Community Cares, which is a nonprofit organization that helps older adults and adults with disabilities with things like providing companionship for them and transportation for them and helping to do housework and yard work for them. We can be found at www.yourcommunitycares.org, which is spelled the letter U, the letter R, communitycares.org. And today we have as our guests Kathy Freda and Casey McGannon from Sage Solutions. And so welcome to both of you, and thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you for having us. So I'm Kathy Freda, the founder of Sage Solutions. I'm a gerontologist, care manager, patient advocate, and my lovely associate.
I'm Casey McGannon. I'm also a gerontologist and an end-of-life doula.
Yeah, okay. All right, so Kathy, as the founder of Sage Solutions, we'll begin with you. At the outset here, why don't you just tell us a little bit about the practice?
Sure. So I founded the practice about 21 years ago, which I cannot believe, and now we have 5 employees, and we're down in this area on the shoreline, up Route 9 in Hartford County predominantly, and we're problem solvers ultimately. I always say that people don't call us to say hello, they call us because they have a need, and we're there to fill that need. So we do care planning, assessment, care management, patient advocacy. We attend a lot of doctor's appointments with clients because, you know, anyone can feel vulnerable in a doctor's office, right? I mean, and then if you add in maybe some hearing loss or some low vision or some memory impairment, it's really difficult for people. So we're their advocates and we're their scribes. And we work very closely with the older adults. Many of our clients have memory impairment, as well as, and we work with their families, the adult children. We're very much entrenched with them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you have lots of experience with the older adults. It's very important work that you're doing. And really, you're in a similar space as what Your Community Cares does in terms of dealing with the older population. So Casey, let's go to you now. You've been with Sage Solutions for 7 years now. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what an average day would be with a client or two and what that would be like, and also what kind of supports and services could you provide in any given day?
Okay. Well, there's no such thing as an average day.
Okay.
We have no average clients. Kathy and I both had experience today with different clients where someone from a doctor's office had called the client's home to say that the location had changed, but they left the information with someone who was memory impaired who did not pass that information along, so we all showed up at the wrong place.
We each did two separate situations.
So we had to scramble to relocate. So no average clients. A couple good examples that I would be able to give is a client who was over 100 years old, who had 2 alienated children, that they really wanted nothing to do with her. So it fell upon us to do everything for her, all of her appointments, to amuse her, which was just what they wanted as well. Right down to when she took a fall, broke a hip, do you want to come and be with your mother? Nope, you take care of it. When she went into hospice, do you want to come be with your mother before she dies? Nope, call us when she's dead. So sometimes that happens. Other situations where I have a wonderful client now who has a very involved family, but none of them are local. So they want very much for her care to be looked after, but they can't be here. So it just depends. Every family is different, and just like Kathy said, it's about looking at doctors, looking at all those gaps. People who can't hear well, making sure that's looked after. You find out someone hasn't been to the hearing specialist in 8 years and wonders why their hearing aids don't work. So you have to be that detective,
right,
and figure out what's up and how to address it and make sure everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Especially the person.
Right. Yeah, I don't think the average person realizes how many the needs that there are in the community with situations like that.
Yeah.
So Kathy, you must have encountered a lot of challenging situations over the years. So can you tell us a little bit about what were some of the most challenging situations that you were involved with?
One recently, unfortunately, you hear that when someone falls, it leads to bad outcomes, and that's very often the case. So we had a gentleman, actually last year in 2022, we had someone fall and had to have surgery every single month of the year from January to June.
Oh.
One of them was a gentleman, he actually had a heart attack, so he went to the hospital, then he went into rehab, and he just wasn't responding well. He wasn't doing well in rehab at all. So we as a team said, everyone thought he was end of life, like that's what the picture was. And we said, you know what, if this is the end of his life, maybe it is, but we're gonna bring him home. That's where he wants to be. He can have hospice services brought in. We're gonna bring him home. But we weren't 100% convinced it was end of life. We brought him home. I tell him, he's our biggest success story. I mean, not ours alone, certainly, but a team. We brought him home and we got a stair glide in his house. We got a live-in aid for him. We put the hospital bed in the dining room initially. We got cable TV so who watches TV in their dining room? We had to get cable TV in the dining room. Physical therapy, occupational therapy, all of it. That was like last, maybe April, May. I saw him a couple weeks ago. He's reading, he's going out to Max Oyster Bar, he's going out to lunch, he's getting his hair cut, the rabbi comes over. I mean, it was so challenging to get him home. I wrote a document, it was 7 pages long, of the different things that we could possibly have to do for this person. I mean, down to tray tables at home, you know, just to make him happy. And he's thriving. His family can't believe it, he's thriving, but it was extraordinarily difficult in the beginning. The heavy lifting is an understatement.
Yeah. Yeah, now you mentioned the family, so you work with the adult children of your clients as well as the older clients themselves.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah, if there is a family, we're working with them, because usually it's the adult children who make the phone calls to us and say,
Right.
and Casey will say.
Sometimes they're the challenge.
And sometimes they're the biggest challenge, honestly. You know, and like Casey alluded to, some of the adult children don't live nearby, so we are the eyes and ears for them. But then they come in after not seeing mom for 8 months, and it's like, oh my goodness, that's when they call us and say, mom needs help. We haven't been here. There's expired food in the refrigerator. There's dents in the car. She's got, her medication's due to be refilled, and she's got 9 left over. Medication management is another thing.
Huge.
We convert people to bubble packs, because if someone's taking too much medication or not enough medication, trouble.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, it's important, obviously, to have that team approach where the family is willing to contribute to the support. Now, Casey, you had mentioned earlier that you're an end-of-life doula.
Correct.
Which I'm sure most people are not familiar with what that is. Can you please tell us more about that?
It's a fairly new discipline, but not terribly new, but new enough. And people are more familiar with birth doulas. Well, it's someone, not everyone's going to give birth, but we're all going to die.
Yeah.
So it's being with people. It's an adjunct to hospice care. Most people are getting more aware of hospice, and I worked at a hospice for 4 years up in Canada. But it's sort of an addition to hospice. Can't be everywhere all the time. So an end-of-life doula is certified and trained to be with the person who's dying, as well as their family, as well as everyone who's part of their community, to make sure that they are safe, to make sure that there are no acute situations going on, and that they have all the support that they need.
Right.
It's all about support for them and their families, and working with hospice and working with doctors and being that extra little piece to make sure that someone is cared for and has everything that they need to get the best end-of-life experience. That there's still so much life that people can live when they get that terminal diagnosis.
Yeah, yeah. So, Kathy, just generally, what advice would you give for families that are struggling with the older adults that have these issues?
Well, I mean, in a perfect world, I would say be proactive. In other words, when you call us in a crisis, which is 80% of the time, our options are fewer. We have a few clients who are proactive. Like there's this one woman I'm working with now, and so when the other shoe drops, she has a plan in place already. She knows what action steps have to be taken for her or for her husband. So to the extent that people can get their legal documents in order, their powers of attorney, their wills, their advanced directives, get their finances in order. And if you have a good relationship with your adult children, give them the gift of letting them know what your wishes are, what your preferences are, where your documents are located. Planning, if you can plan, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And how did you get connected with Your Community Cares? What's the background to that?
Michelle, who runs Your Community Cares, and I were just talking about this. I found out about this wonderful nonprofit right when they started. I don't remember how, but I emailed Michelle, or I called her up, and she said, come on over and let's talk. And she knew about care management because of her background as a clinician. And I just thought it was the greatest concept to enlist volunteers in your own community, because then it's buy-in, right? Neighbors get to know neighbors, and people can make connections because you're all very closely connected. And that was in 2019, I believe. And now we're very proud to be partners with Your Community Cares. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful organization.
Yeah, well, Your Community Cares is grateful for the donation that Sage Solutions made to them, and that's to support the residents in West Hartford and Old Saybrook.
That's
areas,
correct.
right?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Right. Just a little bit more, if you could, about the partnership that excuse me, Sage Solutions and Your Community Cares has. What is the partnership?
So what we want to do as team members is spread the word, tell clients about it, get more clients to sign up for the services, but also get volunteers. You know, we want to try to encourage volunteerism, because without the volunteers, you know, Your Community Cares can have all the clients in the world, but they need that partnership between the volunteers and the community members. So we just talk about it and, you know, post on social media, that kind of a thing, to spread the word, because awareness is everything.
Yeah, yeah. So for those that live in the West Hartford and Old Saybrook areas and you want to find out how to be a volunteer, then please go to either the website that I mentioned earlier, Your Community Cares, spelled letter U, letter R, communitycares.org, or call 860-430-4557. So again, that number is 860-430-4557. And just want to remind the viewers also that Your Community Cares is a statewide organization, and we appreciate donations like we got from Sage Solutions from all businesses, because that helps in terms of obtaining more volunteers for Your Community Cares. And just wanted to mention one upcoming event that's coming up on April 26th at the Estuary in Old Saybrook. There's going to be an ice cream social there that starts at 12:30, I believe. Get there at 12, get there early. And and you will be, there will be a presence there
Yep,
from
Casey will be there.
Sage
I'll be there.
Solutions as well.
Yep.
Casey will be
Yep,
there,
yep.
okay. Okay, well that's it for now then. So thank you to Kathy Frieda and Casey McGannon of Sage Solutions.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
you know, we appreciate all you do, and because what you're doing is very important work. So we appreciate what you do, and thank you for being here to talk with us today.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Right, and that's it. So thank you also for watching Your Community Cares in your town with Sage Solutions. And thanks again, and bye for now.